Hi guys, welcome to my channel. How you guys doing? Hope everyone is doing great. If you are new here, you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, you are also welcome. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to cut and sew a simple two-piece, that is a top and a pant. Okay, so I'll be working with this fabric. For the pant is 2 yards. Okay, so let's get started. So I've gone ahead to mark out my starting line, and the length of the trouser is going to be 42 plus 2 inches seam allowance. That will give us a 44. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be doing is to mark the hip measurements. This pant is going to have elastic at the waist area, so I won't be needing my waist measurements. So the waistband is going to be 1.5. So what I'm going to do now is to minus 1.5 from this length. Okay, so when I minus it, I will now add the hemming allowance. Okay, so at the starting line, I'm going to mark the hip measurement. So the hip I'm working with is hip 44. This is a straight pant. It is not going to be big, it's not going to be small, it's going to be in between. Okay, it's a moderate size pant. Okay, not that very wide pant. So I'll be working with the hip I'm working with is 44 divided by 4 will give me 11 inches. Okay, so I'll mark 11 inches at the starting line. Remember that we minus 1.5 inch for the band. Okay, so at that point, minusing the 1.5, I'm going to take the crotch depth. Okay, so for the crotch depth, I'll be working with 1/4 of the hip. Remember, hip is 44 divided by 4 will give us 11. So 11 is my crotch height. Okay, so because I don't want the pants to be tight around that crotch area, I'm going to be increasing it to 12 inches. So this is the 12 inches here. So that becomes our crotch height. Okay, at that point, I'm going to measure the hip. Okay, so that I can get a perfect straight line. I'm going to mark this up to the waist area. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the crotch extension. So for you to know your crotch extension, what you are going to do is to divide 1/4 of your hip by 4. Okay, that is, we're working with 44 divided by 4 will give us 11. We're going to divide 11 again by 4, and when we do that, we'll have a 2 3/4. Okay, so I'll mark 2 3/4 here, and that becomes my crotch extension for the front. I hope you're seeing this line. So the next thing I'm going to do is, where we have the east angle, I'm going to go out by 1 inch and mark. So this is it. I'll pick my curve ruler and I'll use that to mark the crotch curve. Okay, so next, what I'm going to do now is to take this measurement down to the length of the pants. Okay, so whatever I have here, have a 13 3/4, so I'm going to take this down to the length of the trouser. So I'll continue marking that 13 3/4. So I'm going to connect the points now to get my perfect straight line. So I'll go ahead now and cut this out. So at this point, I'm going to come down by, at the center front here, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and I'm going to shape that towards the sides. Okay, why I'm doing that is because I want to eliminate any form of fold around the front waist line. So I'm going to shape this to the side. So I'm going to stop here because I want to use this to cut the back. So when I'm done cutting the back, I will now reshape the front. So this side, I'm going to slash this side open. It's still on fold, so I'll open it up. So at this top part, we are cutting the back now. This is the front, you can see. So at the top part, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. Okay, I'm going to raise the back, center back by 2 inches, so that by the time you sit, your pants will not be showing. Okay, so after doing that, at the center front, I'm going to be adding a 2 inches for seam allowance. Remember, we are drafting the back now. 2 inches. This is the front on top of it. 2 inches. So coming to the back is crotch extension, I'm going to use 2 inches. So for a bigger person, you can do 2.5. So I'll continue using 2 inches down to the hem part of the pants. So you can see that cutting of this pant is very easy. So I'm almost done. So coming to this top part again, from this part you can see I raised it by 2 inches, so I will connect it back to the side. Okay, so align with the side of the front. So I use my ruler to do that now. So that is it for the back. So I'll quickly cut this. So coming to the cross extension, I'll still use my curve ruler to connect the points. So go ahead now and connect all these points together. So I'm done with the back now. I'll start cutting. So I will shape the back, the front now. That's the center front. But before I do that, I've already cut out those pieces of fabric I'll be using for the pockets. This is not a standard way of measuring your pant pockets, but I'm working with what I have. So I have 8.5 unfold the width, okay, unfold, and the length is 11 inches. Okay, so I'm going to still fold it and place it on the pants by the side of the pants this way. And I will get the second piece and place it this way. It's unfold, remember. Can you see? So this is the side of the trouser, this is the center front. So what I'm going to do next is to reduce the center front, come down by 1 inch and connect it back to the side. So I'm going to make use of my curve ruler to do that. So I'm going to open up the pocket now. right side facing right side. Then I'll move one side away, putting the other side close to the side of the trouser so I can cover out the pockets. Can you see what I did? I open up the pockets, then place one side of it to the side of the pants. Remember, we are working with the front pants now, okay? So I'll make sure that it aligns before I reshape again. So at this top part, I'm going to mark, go in by half of 2 inches. Now go down by 6 inches and make a mark. And I'm going to connect these points together with a curve. You see? Let's see the curve. So that's that for the pockets. So for you to know how to fix it, this is how to. You get one piece of the fabric, right side facing right side. Then you stitch by 1/4 of an inch. When you're done stitching, you move the seam allowance towards the pockets, okay? Then you top stitch. When you're done top stitching, you now fold in the trouser this way and push it out. It might not be making sense now, but by the time I do one, I'll come and show you. So I've gone ahead to cut out the band. It's 4 inches when you open it up, and is as wide as the waist line, okay? So I'm going to fold into 2 this way, then fold in, use half of an inch to stitch it to the pants, okay? So I'll quickly go and hem the down part of the trouser, and I'll come back and show you what to do next. So I'm going ahead to hem the trouser. And also fix one of the pockets. So I'll be using the other one to show you how to fix it. You can see there's one of the pockets. Can you see? So this is the second piece. So I only attach the pockets by the side. I've not covered it. Can you see? So I've top stitch as well. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to flip my pants this way. Can you see? Hope you're seeing what I'm doing. So you're going to close the down part of your pocket. That is a pocket bag. You're going to close it, the down part. When you're done closing it, now I'm coming to the side. You're going to arrange it well. Then pin down the side, close it. Then at the top part, you arrange it well as well and close, okay, so that you have your pockets. So I'll also iron the band and fold in half of an inch on this end. Can you see? So by the time I attach to the trouser this way, I'm going to attach one piece, then flip it to the front side, and I'll top stitch on this folded end. That must have that I will do that when I must have finished joining the trouser, okay, before fixing the band. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut out the simple top. So this top is a very simple top. It's cut together sleeve, okay. So the first thing we're going to do now is to mark the starting line, okay. So I folded into 4. I folded the fabric into 4. Both the front and the back, I'll be cutting it together. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to take the measurements, the shoulder. So the shoulder is 8 inches, and the length of the sleeve will now be 14 inches. That includes, sorry, the shoulder is 8 inches. This is 8, and the sleeve length is 6 inches, and that 6 inches include the seam allowance, okay. So at that point, I'm going to, where I have my 6 inches, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, okay. I'll stop there, come to the shoulder line again, and I'll mark the neckline. So I'll be working with neckline, the width of 3.5, okay. It's going to be a V neckline. So at that point, I'll go down, measure 9 inches. Sorry, measure 8.5. Okay, why I'm doing 8.5 is that by the time I turn it with stitch, my facing, it will now go to 9 inches. It will now be 9 inches, okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect the neckline, the width of the neckline, to the 1 inch shoulder drop, okay, shoulder slope. So I'll connect the neckline this way. It's a V neckline, both the back and the front is a V neckline. Now the back neckline is going to have a strap. I'm going to cross it with a strap, so I have to take note of the width. The width of the neckline is 3.5, okay. So if I'm to add strap to the neckline of the back, what I'm going to do is that when I have 3.5 here, so it's on fold, remember. So when I open it up, I will have 7 inches, okay. So 3.5, I'm going to include 1 inch when I'm cutting out the strap. Why? Because if I turn this neckline with a facing, it will shift by 1/2 inch. Now I need 1/2 inch for seam allowance. That gives me a total number of 1 inch. So when you include 1 inch to 3.5, you have 4.5. So when we are cutting our strap, we'll cut 9 inches. I hope I'm making sense. What we have here is 3.5 on fold. Now I'm adding strap to the back. So for me to add a strap, for me to know how much I'm going to cut out, the fabric I'm using for the strap at the back, I have to consider the seam allowance to attach the strap. And also when I'm turning the neckline with the facing, the neckline will now shift by 1/2 inch, making it what? Making the whole neckline 4 inches plus the 1/2 inch for seam allowance. That will give us 4.5 on fold. So when you open it up, we have 9 inches. So take note of that. So the next thing we're going to do, we'll come to where we have our sleeve lengths. I will measure. I'm going to measure. I don't want the armhole, the sleeve opening to be too wide. Okay, so I'm going to measure 9 inches there. Come down by 9 inches. That will be the sleeve opening. I'm going to be taking 1/2 inch here to close up the side, 1/2 inch here to join the top part. Okay, so that is it. So whatever I have here, I have a 14 inches. I will also mark 14 inches here to get a perfect straight line to cut. So I'm going to join the points. Next, I'm going to measure. At this point, I'm going to take the bust measurements, and for the bust I'll work with 40 inches divided by 4 will give us 10 inches. Okay, so I'll only need half of an inch for seam allowance. This fabric is stretchy, so what I need is half of an inch. I don't want to take any seam allowance from the fabric. Okay, so I'll add half of an inch for seam allowance. So this is it. So I'm going to connect it to this point, and you see. So the next thing we're going to do is to take the length of the top, and for the length I'm going to measure 29 inches, and that 29 include the seam allowance, the hemming allowance. Okay, so I'll connect the points. So for the hem part of this blouse, I'll be using the hip measurement, which is 11 inches. That is a 44 divided by 4 will give us 11 inches. Then I'll add half of an inch for seam allowance. That will give me 11 and a half. Okay, so what I have here is 10 and a half. So I'm going to mark the half length. So for the half length, I'm working with 16 inches here. So I'm going to connect it straight this way, then take it down to the hemline. You can see I didn't use any round waist measurement here. I only mark the line straight, connect the line straight to the waist, then to the hem. I would want this blouse to be fitted around the bust, kind of not showing the tummy. That is the shape of the tummy, then free at the down parts. Okay, it's just like a free kind of top, but it's not really fit. It's fitted, it's not too free, and it's not too fitted. That's the kind of top I want to achieve. So at the down part, I want to curve it a bit. So I'm going to measure 7 inches here, mark. Then from that point, I'm going to go up by the side by 2 inches. Okay, so now curve it this way. So we're almost done. So at this angle, we're not going to take it this way. I don't want this place to be sharp, as in I don't want to have sharp edge there. So I'm going to curve it, and we'll continue cutting. So we are almost done. So I'm going to take out one piece out, which is this, the middle, the one inside. Then I will arrange this other one. I want to also go down, as in the depth of the neck, the V-neck line. I want it deep at the back. So I'm going to rearrange it well. Then I will still go down by half of an inch for the V-neck at the back. Okay, so we are done. I'll mark this as the back so I will not be confused. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to cut the strap. So I'll be using this fabric for the strap. Okay, so remember we said it's 9 inches, so I'll measure 9 inches here. So for the width of the strap is a 2 1/4. So this is the facing. Can you see? The main fabric is on top of the fabric I'm using for the facing. So what I'm doing here is just to trace the neckline, the shoulder, not too much. You see, so from here I'll just take it up. So this is the facing for this. So next I'm going to iron this paper gum on it, okay, to stabilize the fabric. So this is the facing for this one, and for the front I'll also cut the facing for that. I'm not using any measurement for the facing. So I'm done with the fronts. This is the strap. So I'll go and couple this up now. So I'm stitching the band on the pants. As you can see, I've done one side, so I'm going to flip it this way, then top stitch on it very close to the first seam you're seeing. Okay, so I'll do that round the waist of the pants, and when I'm done doing that, I'll also top stitch here by 1/4 of an inch. Why I'm doing that is that by the time I insert the elastic, I will have a beautiful effect there. Okay, so this is how far I've gone with the top. I've fixed the strap at the back, and you see I've also turned the neckline with the facing, and this is the facing. You see, so what is remaining now is just to close the sides. I've also hemmed the down parts, you see, and hem the sleeve as well. So I'll quickly finish this up, and I'll come back and show you the finished look. So I'm done with the trouser and the top. So this is the first top stitching on the band gave me, and you see, and this is the top. So this is the finished look. And you see, it's just on my body, it's not big, it's not too tight. Okay, so this is the top. You can see it's a bit fitted. And this is the back. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next one. Bye.